Hiya, I'm Luna, and consider this video an addendum to the video I just made about the secrets north of Snowpoint. I made the assertion that the postgame content, the fight area and whatnot, cannot actually be located where it is on this map. Instead, it has to match its counterpart location in the real world, being Sakhalin Island, north of Hokkaido. However, one thing I need to emphasize, because this is also a problem I've been noticing with the perception of this region, especially the Cobalt coastlands in Legends Arceus. If this is the case, then what's that? Now, I'll get right to the chase, but of course consider subscribing, doing the commenting, you know, YouTube. Now, the assertion that the volcano in the Cobalt coastlands is the same as the fight islands and whatnot comes from, especially from the main map, where people see the little jut here, consider it the same as the jut here, and thus this must be the volcano. However, you may actually notice, especially with the Cobalt coastlands, that the structure isn't actually the same as normal Sinnoh. In fact, look at it like this. The little jut you see within Legends Arceus, this here, that actually isn't the same, because you can see with the mountains here, it needs to jut more like this in order to match the map in Sinnoh. And in order to actually have that same structure within the Sinnoh region, it would essentially have to be more like that, which isn't the case. You can actually notice something similar with the little hand in the ocean. See, you can this just doesn't exist in the same version that would be Sinnoh. It stops right around here. So the combination of that outstretch not existing and the hand not existing shows that the lands themselves have changed between Hisui and Sinnoh. In fact, this would put it so that Sunny Shore is about here. And do you know what's north of Sunny Shore? That's right, it's the Pokemon League, baby! In fact, even if you look at the changes and the little juts I showed in the Sinnoh map, the little jut that was removed from between Legends Arceus and Sinnoh, you know, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, would put the Pokemon League Island right where the volcano is. And that's entirely intentional. Now, looking to the real world for a moment, these are the plate boundaries that are created around this region. Well, the real life version of the region. In fact, this here is the Ring of Fire. If you don't know what that is, that's where the Pacific Plate goes under all of the other plates in order to, because it's being eaten up, so to speak. And in fact, you will notice this here, these are the Kuril Islands, lined up exactly a little bit off from the Pacific Ocean plate. And that's intentional. These islands are all volcanic. And making this smaller for a second, this one right here, the one closest to Hokkaido, is Kunashir. In fact, that's the island the Pokemon League island is based off of. Which means it would make sense that it would be a volcanic island in the past. And if you don't believe that that sort of spacing from the Pacific plate is important, this right here is a diagram showing off subduction. Basically, where one plate is being eaten up, being pushed down under a bigger plate. In this case, it's showing off as a continental. But you'll notice that a little bit past there, after some of the crust of the oceanic plate starts to get eaten up, the sort of differences in temperatures make those bubbles rise up, and that's what becomes those volcanoes. Think of it like when you're eating some food, it goes down fine, but then you get that bad reflux. It's gone down, something else is happening, it's starting to bubble up. That's what these volcanoes are. And that's also why they're spaced just a little bit past, in our case, the Pacific plate. Now, going back here for a minute, you'll also notice that it has to be a specific distance from the subduction zone in which these volcanoes can happen. Even if the fight zone were right here, say, it is too far away to truly be able to bubble up and have that same volcanic activity that would be needed for the Sinnoh games. But if you look at the same image, you see this whole area is on a smaller plate than what you're probably used to seeing. It's not the Eurasian plate. In fact, over here is the Eurasian plate. Well, let's be technical. This is more the Eurasian plate, but lots of small plates. But this is actually, now I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, it's Russian, Okhotsk plate. And its boundary, another convergent boundary, is right around here. And you'll notice this shape here. That is the postgame content of the fight area, the volcano with heatran and whatnot. This is only a volcanic area because it's on a different convergent boundary than the Kuril Islands are with the Pacific Ocean plate. Hence why it needs to be in this location north of Snowpoint and real-world Volcano. And on top of that, if you look at the Cobalt Coastlands in the Legends Arceus map, you can actually see it starting to form that shape of the Pokemon League Island or Kunashir in real life. You can see it branching more outward here in terms of short-term games, and you can also see it start to branch out a little more this way, thus creating that shape, which also makes it clear that the Victory Road, with all its different wall textures compared to the regular Sinnoh caves, are actually a volcanic cave, which I think is really cool and should be noted instead of just it's the Elite Four area. We gotta fight through this all over again with all our TMs and HMs and whatnot. And you could actually even see the point I'm talking about in terms of the shaping on this map itself. Here's more of the point in the actual map. In this area, I can't say exactly why this would be cut off between the two iterations of the region, but it does seem to. I mean, it makes sense for this to be gone and this to be gone. They're more lower areas. And this top one specifically can become more of a lake area for Giratina. Continuing that on, there's the jutting out. Go north from there, you get towards the smaller parts of the island of the quote-unquote Kunishir Elite Four island, just by going up from the approximate Sunny Shore area. From there, you go into the cave, into these volcanic ducts, until you reach the Elite Four. Okay, now, back to this map. If what I'm saying is true, you may be asking, why is Heatran here? Why is he on the Elite Four island? And how did he get, whether it's in the location I'm saying or in this map location, how did he get here? Now, I've seen different answers discussing this. Oh, the trainer caught him in Legends Arceus, he can be released anywhere. Oh, he could just be on a boat and float away like some creatures do. But there's actually a better reason. A more clear reason. And it's quite as simple as it's just made of magma. Coming back to this image, you'll notice, of course, the magma bubbling up, going into the crust to form the volcanoes. But think about it like this. Heatran is magma, yes, but he's mobile. He has sentience. He can do whatever he wants. So say Heatran lives in one of these bubbly chambers for a volcano, sees it start to dwindle, maybe it starts drying up and goes, oh, looks like party is over, I'm out of here. Just crawls down into the mantle itself. And while he may be part steel, the steel we are seeing is likely cooled down versions of his magma. And of course it can reheat up, still be the same. And he can just be in the mantle, swim around. Though he seems to prefer volcanic areas. So even so, he should be able to notice different areas where this bubbling is occurring and thus the volcanoes are occurring. And especially with another part of the plate nearby, the other side of the Okhotsk plate, I told you, that's Russian. I'm not very good at that. The other side of it should be clearly visible, and you can just go, looks like more volcanoes. Let's just go there and just swim through the mantle. No danger of water. No boats needed. Just a magma man being a magma man. And as such, heatran, going back to this map, heatran being here, could easily notice the bubbling over here and just go there. Swim through the mantle. There's a whole lot more magma than there is actual crust and water on this, well, under this planet, I should say. So it'll just be really easy for him to do that. Alright, let me know what you think of this theory. Of course, it relies on certain areas being built or being destroyed a whole lot faster than you would see in the real world. Especially pointing to this point right here, as well as the size of the Elite Four Island going way out here. However, I think that was more for the developers to play around, try and have fun with it. And, I mean, how else are you gonna have a volcano like that? Even if you wanted to include the post-game area and do it like that, the volcano can't really be spurting in the same way it is. It really has to be via the Pacific Plate subduction, because that's where it's more continual, more angry, where the earthquakes come from, where, heck, there's about to be a volcanic eruption just over that way. And at the time of recording this, of course, that's at least how it looks, but you know, that's Anchorage life. Anyway, let me know what you think. You can propose any counter theories, have some fun with it, leave some comments, fight about it down there. And I hope you have a good day. Of course, you should see any videos being recommended on the screen here. Feel free to click them if you want. I'm not gonna be like PM7. Okay, I'm waiting for you to go. Come on. If you're still here, I don't know what's happening. That's not to make fun of him. I have genuine trauma there. But still, thank you.